Hello, welcome back to Benusushi Live Noding. In the previous live noding, I tried to use the matrix, what is it called? Matrix track tool to basically make a lot of objects to point into an empty. And I asked the Sverchok developers whether it is possible, and apparently it is possible. Although these things, the A and B, are still a little bit confusing to me. This is the whole setup that will work, but there's actually another node called matrix normal, and somehow these nodes actually can do this in much more simplified way. So let's take a look at this. Basically, this is as simple as it can get, I think. So let's save it, and this is matrix normal, and matrix normal demo. So basically, matrix normal, usually you want to use it if you want to kind of instance a lot of objects, and you want all the instance to orient based on the normal of the original objects. For this one, we're gonna use it to orient objects into an empty, for example. So we can create an empty. Let's make it an arrow. Put it right there, and let's bring in the empty into Sverchok. So objects in, get selections, select the empty and get selections, and we can have the matrix here, and we're gonna somehow make comparison. So if we have like a bunch of Suzanne, we can orient it into this guy right here. So let's see how we can accomplish that. Let's say we have like a random vector, maybe make it 10 random vector for positions of objects. We're gonna use Suzanne. So Suzanne, and we have this random vector. We can right click on Suzanne, connect it to viewer draw. So we have a single Suzanne, and we can plug this random vector into this guy, and so we have Suzanne at 10 random positions. And now we want to orient the head into this empty right here. So Suzanne by default is always looking in the negative y axis, and the up is the z. So this guy should actually work right away, I think. So we need to modify these Suzanne orientations to look at this empty. How do we do that? So a quick way would be to use a subtraction. So we have this empty at 0, 0, 0. So if we actually use a little bit of vector math, subtract, I think using the 0, 0, 0 minus the position of the monkey, this out position should go into the normal. And if this works, Suzanne head should be looking at the 0, 0, 0 position. The location should be coming from the random position. So yeah, there you go. That's working right away. So if I move the empty and then update it, you can see the Suzanne head is looking at this this guy right here. If I run the playback and then I just use option A or alt A, see since the animation is playing, it's gonna be updated on every frames, and that's how Sverchok add-on will work. So the head will always look into the empty. So with this setup, of course, we can easily increase the number of Suzanne, and then this will continue to work. So Suzanne head is always oriented and tracking the position of this empty. Suzanne head is actually can be pretty heavy, so there is this trick that I use all the time. Let's reduce this to 5. Instead of putting Suzanne head over here, and we have like a big data, you can actually simply use like an n-gon, for example, or a plane, and then so we're gonna like put the position into this guy right here. We can have just a triangle, and the triangle can be a real object. So put the matrix there, and then this is the triangle, and now we have many objects still. We want to merge it, so we have a single object, and let's say we create another viewer B-mesh for Suzanne head. So we have Suzanne head in the middle. We just parent this Suzanne head into this guy, Control P, and with this guy parented, we can use the dupli face. Now, hopefully this works. So now, if everything is correct, the Suzanne head should always be pointing correctly into the empty. Somehow the thing is doesn't seem to rotate properly to Suzanne head with this plane, which is kind of interesting. Let's save it. Maybe I'm doing this a little bit wrong. Let me have a look. Viewer B mesh. Maybe I can try apply matrix apply here, and then this is the n-gon, and then this is the matrix. So we join them and then plug it into this guy right here. So now playback. Seems like Suzanne head is still like pointing the other way around. Maybe I should rotate this head somehow. Kind of interesting. Let's try. $180. So now, no, I think still kind of oriented in the wrong way. Somehow I think it's probably because I'm using n-gon, and it was working when I was using a plane. And then if I don't rotate the Suzanne head, yeah, it's really weird, really weird. But here you go. Now we have actually, this is like the master Suzanne in the center that I created procedurally here using nodes as well. So let's summarize the whole thing. We created Suzanne head in the center, and then here we have an empty, and the empty is being tracked on the fly thanks to this matrix normal, because it keeps monitoring the position of Suzanne head. And I'm using instancing here, that's why everything works like really like fast. Now I can have like 1,000 or 10,000 Suzanne head, and still everything works really fast, like very interactive. So this is what you want sometimes, depending on what you're doing, because we're only using a single Suzanne head instance. So if we are like with this random vector, if we randomize it further, now you can see as we play back, everything still works. Let's have like 1,000 Suzanne head and still working. Randomize it further, so we have a lot of Suzanne head, and every Suzanne head will always look at this guy right here in the middle, the empty. So this is a very interesting setup. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. It's basically I was trying to understand matrix track 2, and just to get this kind of setup happening, just like a orient constraint or track 2 constraint, and it is now possible accomplished using just matrix normal. So this guy right here is very powerful. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this live coding. Hopefully this is useful. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye.